there ain't no stopping us. Fly without a boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I'll be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross.
Hey BTC, it's your boy, your favorite admin, DJ Barbecue, with a special edition today. It is Labor Day, and we're celebrating those who have kicked ass each day of the week, especially on this great weekend of non-stop wrestling. Once again, I'm here with my guest host, the king of all kings, the professor of professional wrestling, Tiger Man Smith. Tiger Man, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing actually excellent after this this complete weekend, especially with all the wrestling we had. I'm pretty sure you were excited.
It was a wrestling-filled weekend. If I have anything to say about it.
Right, and especially speaking of a wrestling weekend, you had some exciting wrestling before the weekend that sounds amazing. From what I understand, it's was located around where you live. Why don't you explain to the viewers this great wrestling event that you went to?
Oh, I've had a couple wrestling weekends. Kicking it off 2 weeks ago with Expo Lucha in San Diego, which was a Lucha Libre convention with two amazing shows. One show was Legends of Lucha Libre, and then the main event show was actually Mexico versus the World, which was an amazing show as well. Had some of the best performers from all over the world, some Legends of Lucha Libre. It was just a fantastic show, and you actually got to go meet all the people around. It was definitely one of the best weekends of wrestling I've been to.
Well, so
last weekend
you did say that you had everybody over the world. What are some of the promotions that were there for some of those that don't know what this was?
It was pretty much supercards. What it is they had Jack Evans, they had T.J. Perkins, they had the Lucha Brothers, they had Little Cholo, they had Mariachi Loco.
Wow. They
had just name upon name. They also had Solar from the Legends. They had Ray Wagner Jr. there. It was just, the names on top of names.
That's jam-packed with a lot of top talent.
To see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. They also had Teddy Hart.
Wow.
They had Davey Boy Smith Jr. They had Brian Pillman Jr. They had Hoovy. They had Psychosis. It was just name atop of name.
Man, that's the equivalent of what a lot of individuals are used to in the last 20 years. That's like a WrestleMania type of card with that type of talent.
Yes. Oh, most definitely.
So why don't you go into depth in some of these matches, like which let's just go from what the first match was all the way to the last match.
I can't tell you what all the matches were. It was just a lot of wrestling. But we had Little Cholo and Mariachi Loco versus Los Luchas. It was, what was there? It's a Joker and Phoenix Sun.
Wow.
And it was just littered with just name after name. It was crazy. The next match card was Mexico versus the World. The main event of that was actually T.J. Perkins, Jack Evans, and Chris Cage versus Pentagon. It was Ray Phoenix and someone else. I can't. The name escapes me right now.
But I mean,
It was
just the cards that you're telling us about, like that's literally you would. I mean, I'll say it again. That's something that you would see if it was, at that upper echelon, that'd be WrestleMania quality.
Yes, definitely.
Wow.
The only thing that was the downfall of the show was they had nothing that said like the names of the wrestlers on like the cards. So a lot of it was lost in just not being able to hear the announcer.
Okay.
So that's why it's kind of hard for me to like tell you the whole card because there's like wrestlers I don't know, and you can't really hear too well from the announcer.
Okay. What arena or stadium or venue that this was at?
It was in the gym of a college in San Diego.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
cool.
So it wasn't like a big arena or anything, but it was packed. It was good.
So how long was this event? Was it just
all day?
All day? Wow. So what other weekend did you recently just have too?
To the Super J Cup Night 3 and Long Beach.
Oh wow!
It was in the gym of the Long Beach College.
Very cool. And who were some of the wrestlers that you saw there?
Oh, we saw Liger. We saw El Fantasma, which is becoming one of my favorite superstars. T.J. Perkins was there. Rocky Romero. We saw Will Ospreay. It was jam packed with the best of the best.
See, that's one
the tournament's known for.
That's one individual that I would love to see is Ospreay. I've seen him on TV. It blows my mind, man. Like the stuff that he's able to do.
Him and El Fantasma, they tore the place down. I can't wait to see where this feud heads.
Wow. So now, are these are wrestling events? Is this part of like a one single promotion that kind of builds off on these storylines, or is just kind of like a celebration event that they do kind of to do one-offs?
Well, with the Super J Cup, it's from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
It's one of the best. Yeah, it's one of the best tournaments ever.
Yeah.
Highly prestigious. A lot of wrestlers just made and built their name off of this tournament. This was actually the first year ever that they actually had it in the United States.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think when we were talking about this the other day, I had no idea that it was in the United States, because I think if I remember right, I did ask. I said, did you fly over there? And you're like, no, it was just up there.
Yeah.
Those individuals that you're talking about, TJP, Will Ospreay, and Phantasmo, I don't want to downplay it when I say this, but if you take ballet, for instance, right?
Yes.
That's a great example of how those individuals have to do it so smooth-like, and there's an art form to it. That's exactly what those three individuals do that are professional wrestlers.
Oh.
Their talent is so smooth.
The amount of finesse that they need to be able to pull off what they pull off is undoubtedly like amazing. El Fantasma, I can't get over how impressive he was. I was even talking to TJP after the match, and I told him, I go, man, I've never seen this kid before, man. He's amazing. And TJ says, yeah, I was eliminated from the tournament from him last night, and I was never happier to lose to someone than him.
That's very cool. That shows a lot of respect that he has for an individual, especially how long TJP that has been in the industry, that has been in the business.
Yes. He's been everywhere. He's literally, it's not just a catchphrase, but I believe he is the best technical wrestler in the world.
I wouldn't argue that either. You mentioned that he was at the other weekend event that you were at, and then this one.
He was, yes.
I would have to say that add on to it, he's in one of the top names to talk about as one of the hardest working individuals so far. I mean, I would like to compare it as the Lucha Brothers. I mean, there is not, there's not a promotion that they're not at. I mean, it's crazy how they work, and I think that's kind of a characteristic of what Lucha is. And I could be wrong. You know more than I do about that. Why don't you go into a little more in depth to like let the audience know like how hard they do work. It's not just 2 nights, twice on Sunday, twice on Saturday type of thing. I mean, it almost seems like they're doing. Well, you go in depth with it. You tell the fans on what it really is.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. Pro wrestling, especially indie wrestling, when you have like a name like that, highly in demand, it's really it's a lifestyle, man. A lot of people want to say that like WWE, they're all hard workers, this and that they're always on the road and stuff like that. In my opinion, it's probably harder to be an indie wrestler. Because you're kind of traveling, you have to be your own agent, you have to, schedule your shows, plan it around, the travel. Sometimes the traveling is a lot more hectic. I know when I was talking to TJ after the Super J Cup, he had to be the next day to fly to Australia, where he, in return, loses hours, and it's crazy.
So so he was overseas before he went to the Super J Cup over in the U.S.?
No, before the Super J Cup, he went to, I believe, Mexico. He was in Mexico for TNA.
Oh wow!
And
I mean, still that's quite the trek in itself.
Yeah, and then after the Super J Cup, he went to Australia, and I believe he's getting ready to go back to Japan.
Now, you said Australia to me the other day when you were talking about the Super J Cup.
Yeah.
I've never really, I don't think I've seen what that style is over in Australia, or is that, do they have their own promotions over there? And I would think that they would, but can you educate me a little bit about that?
They do have their promotions, but the wrestling's not that much different than strong style. So it kind of like merges. In fact, I think there's, in my opinion, there's wrestling. There's lucha, which is in a whole nother category on their own. You're going to see a lot more rolls. You're going to see, it's not going to be as bumpy because when you see the wrestling ring, the thing that like really makes like the noise and kind of has like a little bit of give in the ring is the spring. So when someone takes a fall and you hear like the toot-toot, that's the spring, the wood bouncing up, hitting the metal, this and that. It gives it a little bit more give. It still hurts, but it gives it a little give. In lucha rings, there's no spring. So when you take a bump, it's like falling on just concrete.
Right.
So that's where you get a lot of the rolls, stuff like that.
So with that being said, it's not. I just want to clarify to the audience. I do know that there is, certain individuals that we see on the main stage or on the semi-main stage that are from Australia. My thing is that I didn't know that if there was like other promotions from other states that go down there, or if they had their own individual, basically factory of independent professional wrestling promotions there. The size of a ring. Now, you were talking about what was going on out in the West Coast. Do those rings vary? I know that there's different sizes, but do they stay at a particular size of a ring on these promotions, or is it kind of basically the same?
It differs, not by much, and you have to adjust to it. The regular WWE ring is 20 by 20. I, for example, have wrestled in 16 by 16 and 14 by 14, which gets smaller. You just have to learn how to judge your steps a little bit more, keep your spacing. Sometimes it's part of like being a wrestler is that you have to have a good ring awareness. You have to know where the middle is at all times. You have to know how far you are from the ropes, stuff like that. It'll throw you off if you're not like experienced enough. But besides that, a lot of promotions do go with the 20 by 20.
So, what do you think? The odds of people seeing I guess a 6-sided ring, is that used quite a bit down in the South, or overseas? Either
That's
to our
more
overseas
of
friends to the west or the east?
that's more of a AAA Mexico thing. I know TNA when they were still under NWA, they used it, but that's mainly a AAA thing.
AAA, they have a lot of great shows. I wish that they would show that a little bit more up here in the North American market. And
You
what I
know,
meant, like in this, like from America all the way up to, all the way up to the northern part. There's just a lot of those ones that just have amazing, amazing talent. And I don't think that we have a lot of coverage. And if I'm talking about coverage, I mean social media wise.
yeah, that's it's definitely a whole different world. Even in like the San Diego area and stuff and SoCal, that's where you can see a lot of like lucha in the United States. But lucha doesn't exactly completely get over in all of the United States. So it's a lot harder to get the coverage and stuff. So definitely the best place for that is YouTube. I don't believe AAA has an app or any viewing things like that, but definitely YouTube.
Okay. So we're gonna go to a couple questions that I know a lot of individuals have been posting lately, and we'll go from that. One question goes, who would be the all-time best referee? And the reason why I'm asking these questions is because, as most of you might not know, Tiger Man has been in the industry, and I would say, in my opinion, he's still in the industry. So what are, I would say, the top 5 referees in professional wrestling, going from what every promotion that you've seen in the last couple weeks or couple months?
It's really hard to tell. Mainly because referees don't really get the credit that they deserve, because part of their job is not being in the spotlight. It's their job is not taking the spotlight away from the wrestlers.
Right.
So a good referee, you're not gonna you're not gonna really know him. I know a big referee in SoCal is Rick Knox, which is actually on AEW. He's on their roster. He was on Lucha Underground. Amazing referee. He's a veteran. He knows his stuff. Another referee that I was kind of brought up in the business with was Marty. I don't really know his last name, but he was in WWE for a little bit as well. He was very great with the movements, with the hand signals, and he knows how to make the match flow. There's a lot of things that the referee takes care of that a lot of people don't necessarily know. There will be like times that they make calls in the match, like when they tell a wrestler to take it home, or they tell them to pick up the pace, stuff like that. So the whole pace of the match is ultimately controlled by the referee.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand that. They actually do a lot more than, kind of look like a inanimate object that's just kind of acting like they're, reffing a match. I mean, there's a lot more to it.
Yes.
what would be what would you say out of this young talent that we've seen so far? That I mean, we've just had an amazing opportunity as professional wrestling fans. I don't think a lot of people appreciate it as much, but a lot of these wrestlers coming from other promotions, and we're seeing them on the main stage that they normally wouldn't get a chance through any other promotion. What do you think, who you would consider like the top 5 of those wrestlers that I guess you don't, I guess we could say like up and comers, but they're not really because they've been out there for so many years.
Yeah.
But what would be your top 5?
Let's see. Number one, now it's definitely gonna be El Fantasma. This guy in the Super J Cup just blew it away, man. He had an amazing finale match with Dragon Lee. This guy is just instant heat, and he has the talent to push it. T.J. Perkins, of course, he's just all out one of the best. So that'd probably be my number 2. I really loved Switchblade. He has talent. He has the heat. He just needs to show it off a little bit more. Will Ospreay is going to be probably number 4. This guy knows how to move. This guy knows the psychology of wrestling. He's definitely one of the top. And then, man, one of the most underrated wrestlers, man, Jack Evans. I think if Jack Evans could just wind it down a little bit and pay more attention to telling the story, he would be one of the top guys, man.
Nice. So let's go on the other perspective. Who are the top 5 wrestlers that you would pick in order that have been in the business in the last like 2 decades that are still going today, that you feel like they're actually not just, overstaying their welcome, but yet they're actually, still on top of their game?
Let's see. I like Pentagon. Pentagon Jr. This guy is not only a legacy, he grew up in the business, but he's damn good. He's not making it just off of his name, off of his gimmick or anything. He has the skills to prove it. Let's see. T.J. Perkins been in the game for a while. This guy is amazing. Of course, best technical wrestler in the world. All that. He's just, if he wasn't amazing, he wouldn't be taking all these bookings that he's taking, Let's see. Teddy Hart. Teddy Hart's amazing. He's a good storyteller. If he could just, just get his behavior down, get a little bit more respect for the sport, he would be going a lot further. He blew his contracts with WWE, AAA, but he's still getting bookings. And if he could just tighten it up and just be there, he would be one of the top stars, man.
Yeah, that's definitely true. He does. He's burned a lot of bridges, if you want to say that.
Yeah, and it's a damn shame because he just has so much talent, man.
He does.
And he's a heart, man. That's a legacy. And I'm big on the legacies because that's the name. That's what's gonna drive that, The legacies just carry the business, man.
Yeah.
100%. Let's see. Jack Evans been in the business for a while too, probably around 20 years as well. That I just wish he would just wind it down a little bit in the ring, not give out too much, and just make a better story, and then that he would just be going places, man.
Right.
Let's see. Who else? Will Ospreay, man. He's been in the business for a little while, and I think he's probably one of the future, man. He's one of the future main eventers, everything.
I'd see that. I definitely see that. All right, let's even go even further back. Your top 5 wrestlers from 99 up to today. Well, that are not all of them are still active, but your top 5 wrestlers that you remember from the old WWE days, WCW days, Even
from
well, I guess you
99.
can't really consider TNA because that's mostly the WCW, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're top 5 out of those.
Let's see. See that's a weird like timeline right there. The 99. Let's move it back to 96, man.
Okay.
Cause that's when like I was like just like, I was living, you know what I mean, like watching it and stuff. Scott Hall's always going to be top, man. I always thought he was very underrated. I wish he would have just got the drugs and everything under check, man, because he would have been, he was a top guy, but he could have been like a lot further, man.
Would you say though, at one point, and not with the Razor Ramon, because he was in the industry a long time. That's a big boy. Would you say that at one point he was bigger than Hulk Hogan, especially when he was in WCW?
Scott Hall, I think him and Kevin Nash carried the NWO. The only reason that it was relevant that Hogan turned was because he turned with them.
Okay. I always, I had somebody bring that up.
Does that?
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense. But I had somebody bring up at one point that they felt like, even, they said it before they saw it in that documentary, that seen the rise and fall of him, that said at some point sometimes he would come out and he would have the same or even a bigger pop than Hulk Hogan or Hollywood Hogan at the time that he was in the NWO.
Yeah, they made Hogan relevant again. You know what I mean? There was a little bit of time in WCW where Hogan just wasn't relevant. It was the same old shtick,
Right.
And people just got tired of it. That's why Vince let Hogan go.
Very true.
It's because they wanted a new generation. They couldn't hold on to him.
Right.
So yeah, in my opinion, Scott Hall was a top guy. He could have gone a lot further, man. I would love to see him hold a world title.
Right.
Let's see. Other than that, Vader. I love Vader.
Yeah, that's another great guy.
Yeah, Vader was amazing. His matches with Flair, with Sting, everyone. This has a monster, but he was damn in the ring.
Right. Very agile.
Let's see. Oh, definitely. And he started off sparring with Chuck Norris.
Right.
So this guy was a legit badass.
Right.
Let's see. I loved Mankind when he first came in. The gimmick Mick Foley pulled off was amazing. I wish they would have kept the old Mankind gimmick for a lot longer, though.
I didn't even realize that was Cactus Jack.
Yeah,
I remember seeing him Cactus Jack in WCW there. 605 on TBS.
Yep.
But yeah, I never realized that was actually him. He pulled that off very well.
Yeah, but it could be two sides. You know what I mean? If they would have pulled the Mankind gimmick off longer, it could have killed it, or it could have gone on being something even more amazing.
Right.
So let's see. Shawn Michaels. I was a huge Shawn Michaels fan. Just great, in the ring. To me, there's no better than Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, that's my thing is that, and I'll admit when they broke up the Rockers, I was devastated, and I wasn't for sure which way this was going to go, but it was just he comes out. And I can't remember if he was with Sensational Sherry at this time.
Yeah.
But there was just this presence, this aura. It was like, that was like one of the cool people. That's how the cool people would look, And he just, it was like he couldn't do anything wrong. He made it like, what I was saying, like the ballet, comparison, how they make it real smooth.
Yeah.
And a lot of people sometimes don't like that because it's not that normal gritty, rough cut type wrestling.
Yeah.
But man, was he amazing. And, he deserves everything, his accolades about being Mr. WrestleMania, I know
Yeah.
he had his demons. He's admitted that he's had his demons, and he's come back from that. But yeah, definitely that's. I mean, there's enough said when you say Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, he even he made Tatanka look good in a Mania as well.
Right. Oh yeah. You know, not to change the subject on it a little bit, but there's individuals that you hear stories about that are so good, and sometimes people don't realize that they're actually the ones that are leading the way, that are like helping the other one out during the match. And you would think like, oh my God, they're this top guy, but then when you hear the stories behind the scenes, the amount of like surprise on my face to know like, oh my God, that wasn't him, that was actually the other guy. That just gives another example of how great those individuals are.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer that all the beef and the grudges backstage, fans should know about. You know what I mean? Of course, a lot of people have say a lot of not nice things about Shawn Michaels and stuff like that. I think fans should just enjoy the matches like they are. You know what I mean? If you loved something, you loved it. You know what I mean? If hearing behind the curtain that a wrestler was an asshole, or like about their whole like demons and stuff, like fans should not know that.
Right. So let me ask you this, and we'll go to our second part of the show here. You've seen people complain about how, in their opinion, WWE isn't, putting on a good show. Their storylines, they complain about SmackDown and Raw, and you have NXT that's just seems to be hitting home runs with the audience. It's a consistent favorite of mine. I know that it's hitting, in the teenage demographic. My son's a teenager. That's hitting that. They're hitting that like. Do you think the majority of the time when they criticize WWE, do you think it's more people just wanting to be, relevant, or do you think they actually have an actual gripe?
Okay, I'm gonna start this off with not answering the question, and I'm gonna just say, if you're so much into complaining about WWE and you don't like it that much, vote with your remote control. Turn it off. Get the viewership down a little, and then they're gonna change. You know what I mean? That's the best way to vote. Nothing comes from you watching it every week and complaining. 100%.
You whether you want to admit or not, you answered my question right there. That's the good point. Now, at the same spectrum, you got AEW coming around, and I do believe that they're an alternative. I mean, it's not going to be for everybody, but that's what the alternative is.
It's an alternative, and we haven't seen this type of competition to WWE in a while. TNA was supposed to be this, alternative, and then somewhere down the line they fluctuated and kind of lost their way, and they're kind of lost, even if they're putting in on great shows and everything like that. It's just they never made it to the point of competition that they should have been.
I think their mistakes were for that when they went and decided to go on Monday night again. When they got Bischoff.
Their mistake was trying to be an alternative. They were trying to be the competition. They pushed it too hard, too fast, and it fluttered. Right. They should have built up their name a little bit more. The first shows were just spectacular. If they would have kept that consistency for a little while longer, they would have been like one of the top promotions.
Right.
100%. If they would have took a little bit more time building their homemade names, instead of getting all these older wrestlers in, even though I love Hall and Nash, like what do you expect them to really do there? Like they're not going to bring in the names that you want. They're not going to act the way you want them to. They're not going to put out the matches that you want. you're gonna push down some of the names that you tried building up so hard. Especially when you're trying to make a card like the 99 WCW. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't really expect anything besides people turning off the TV.
Right. You know, the one thing that they were really original, and there was a lot of individuals that really caught my eye. That's the reason why. That's the reason why that I started watching there, and I repeated myself because it made me like look at it like twice, like, oh my God, like what is this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, you sometimes you walk around town and you see something and you have to do a double take. That's the reason why I kind of in a sense stuttered there. It was a 6-sided ring. It was original.
Yeah.
It was something that I felt through my eyes that I hadn't seen before. And so when they went away from the 6-sided ring and they tried to do, and I know this is a cliche thing to say, but they tried to go back to what WCW was doing, and I just thought that was stupid. And then they just made a big deal. And like, I know that, you know, Nash and Hall and X-Pac and Hogan, you know, and Bischoff were there. But then they tried to go on Monday night and, you know, they should have just stayed on their Thursday platform and just kept being themselves, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the best thing to do is if you have a direction that you're going, stick with that direction 100% and go all at it. You know, go full force. Because that's what's going to make you. When you stutter step and then try to make it something else, then go to something else and this and that, you're going to be making a whole bunch of mistakes. People are just not going to watch it. They're not going to watch the building burn.
Right.
But now they're back with, you know, trying to make their own names. They're trying to get more homegrown talent. They made some superstars. LAX, you know, where would they be without Impact? You know what I mean? Chris Cage, you know, I know they've been on other cards and stuff, but they really got their foot in the ground with Impact.
Oh, mainstream ground, at least. I mean, you had
that's what
a
made them the
network
name.
that some of those guys were on that people didn't know about, that they were slowly knowing about, but they weren't on a big platform. And now that company, you know, is non-existent. Well, at least it's kind of stalled and sitting in the back burner for a while. But now that they're out there and they put out great matches.
Yes, they do. They do. I even told TJ, I'm glad you're back with Impact, man. They need someone like you to help carry the promotion. You know what I mean?
You know, the one thing that I would say about TJ though is I think that he's underappreciated. Appreciated. Not just with the fans. A lot of times, I loved the video game. You know, being a nostalgic '80s kid. NES and stuff. I love that. When he was doing that final part with Impact before he went to the Cruiserweight Classic, I really didn't understand why they did that to him. But that doesn't take away the fact that I respect the man a lot, because just going back to the whole like athleticism and making it smooth, like he makes it so ridiculously easy looking. He makes it look like anybody could go out there and get in the ring and just do it without having any training whatsoever. Like it blows my mind. I mean, it's just smooth, man.
Yeah, he's always been like that. Back when he was training, he would just watch tapes and tapes and tapes. Me and him both looked up to Tiger Mask, the original Tiger Mask, and the kick Tiger Mask does, the little like spin kick.
Yeah.
He watched it so closely and imitated it so well that he even like adds a little like stomp like in the beginning of it. If you ever like look at the tapes of him doing that spin kick and then watch Tiger Mask doing it, it's the exact same kick.
Really?
Yeah, cell by cell, it's the exact same kick. He had everything Tiger Mask does, and this is TJ. He's that's what he does. He'll master something. He doesn't just like go off and like just almost does something. He masters it.
Think about that.
And if he can't
think about like what that takes. Like that just blows my mind, man. To be able to do it exactly the same. Wow.
He's always done that. Watch any move he does, and it'll be the exact same way he's done it in every match. That thing where he catches himself between the top and middle rope, and then like the guy like dives at him, and he like moves. Watch it. It's exact same.
That's crazy.
Every match.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's how he is. It's amazing.
Well, we're gonna get close to the show being ended here because the time's like about up. But let's end with one of these. You're gonna take your let's go with bucket list. If you're gonna take a bucket list, what would be your I want to say top. We'll do top 6. Top 6 promotions that you would want to go to, starting from 10 being the least, obviously, and then number 1. But start at number 10 all the way up to number 1.
Oh, number 10, huh? I don't even know if I could say 10. Let's do 5.
Okay.
5 is a little bit easier.
Okay.
Number 5 is going to be CMLL. I love it. They had some great times. You gotta love it. Number 4 is once you figure out that forever, it becomes a little bit less special. That there's more to it. Number 3. I would do it right, but that's what it is. Number 2 would be I wish I could go back in time and watch some old. Watch those names. I wish I could see Vader live. I wish I could see the NWO come out. I wish I could see all that stuff.
Right.
Number 1, New Japan Wrestling. I really wish I could have saw it in the 80s, man. I wish I could have saw Tiger Mask and Dynamite Kid. I really wish I could see Jushin Liger in his prime.
Right.
I just saw him last when he's ready to go. I wish Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero in New Japan. It's that type of stuff.
Very cool. Well, I would say that's a good way to the end of the show. I'd like to thank you once again for being on here. If there's anything that you would like to end that you're going to be doing here soon, go ahead and let the audience hear about it.
See, I am currently in discussion with the Kota iRadio network. Nothing's confirmed yet. We're still in discussion on me being more part of the network. As soon as we get more information, it will be shared. Right now, it's just in the building phases.
So is this kind of like breaking news then? Because I've worked for the Kota iRadio network and I hadn't even known about this yet. So this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's I don't know what they're willing to push off, but we'll see. You know what I mean?
Well, that'll be awesome. Best of luck to you. Would love to see you working here on a regular basis. But just remember, people, this all wouldn't be possible without White Claw. If you ain't drinking the White Claw, you just ain't living. And by Midwest All Pro Wrestling. Midwest All Pro Wrestling, feel the excitement. For myself and the Tiger Man, we thank you and have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.